Listen to the students. Xiao Hong practiced a small laugh. You're not too interested in getting up. She waved her hand to lock them up, so they have time to think about what they're doing. If they really don't think of anything, wait until the troops leave. I will sacrifice them to show my determination. You need workers, can work for your own oil refinery. These people look weak and uneasy. Students who are dying don't have to keep them. It's just a waste of food. The sand is coming to tell you. Maybe we should give it a try. Ask a leader what to try. Her hands were close to her, she explained. These people are college students, and the approving salary is now Zhang Yi's subordinate. Maybe the relationship between them is really good. We are now. I don't know the true power of the devil. You can use these students. It's like a card in a negotiation with him. That's how we can assess the real power of translation. Red peaches look up and talk. You really think that using these useless students to intimidate Zhang Yi or browse will be effective SAO? Satirical smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. Don't be stupid. Now is the time. This is the end of the world. Everyone is trying their best to survive. Only talented people have real value. Make others willing to pay dearly. They see these people as trash. Who will pay for them? Even their teachers. Browsing can't be that stupid. Jia San Than family laughed softly and bowed his head. Our leader. You need to know that not every woman in the world. They are as rational as you. Maybe their teacher. She is an emotional woman. More as we have observed. I could definitely live near Zhang's hideout. This shows that wages probably can't get rid of them. Listen to the sand. The red cross also makes sense. You can't impose your way of thinking on others. Even strong women like you are rare. You mean their teacher. Salary can be a holy mother. Jia San's bar smile. I just hope she is. If so, our chances will be great. After hearing the opinion of the family sandbar, I decided to try it once to find out. However, in the heart, you don't believe it either. Campaign and salary approval. You'll act like a saint. Because people like them. It's hard to survive long in the end world. But taking advantage of this opportunity to explore the power of the enemy, it still makes you interesting. If they really care about these people, that's good. Then the negotiating power will be in our hands. Red Pepper immediately told the bar, send someone to contact Trong Yi, and then bring the Kier students to wear necklaces. Thrown into the underground cell. Obey orders. The next day at the shelter. And his team sat around a long table and finished breakfast. He stood up and said to Zhang, I'll go across the street for a moment. Keep your head up. Go home early. It's cold outside. Don't let yourself freeze. This warm interest makes the browser unable to bite its lips, face a little red. She did not dare to look at Yang Mi and Chu Kai Ni next to her. Know that they're definitely jealous. Relationship between you and Trong Yi has grown rapidly in recent times. Although the epidemic has never to tell you any intimate words. But his accidental interest, they often appear again. While practicing together, touching each other is becoming more common. Over time, main salary is also uncertain about his feelings. For Trong Dui, the same way he sees you. She received food from Zhang Yi's hand. Then put on your cold suit and leave your hideout. Look at the shadow of your back. They eat food and think. When salary approval realized all my students are gone, what would you do? I'm a little curious. In the heart, he hoped that he would give up his students. Honestly support him. But in terms of the level of understanding of the translation, you can't be indifferent prior to the student's disappearance. She may even be overreacting. I hope it doesn't cause me any trouble. If not, we're going to have to ask her to leave this hideout. I thought so in my heart. This is a test for browsing. Browse carrying food from the spice. As always, she walked into the snow house where the students resided. But when she opened the door, she found that there was no AI there. Your heart suddenly beats fast. An unwholesome feeling rises up in my heart. You know the character of the students. Laziness is their nature. Except for going out fishing. They never leave this snowy house. They also address individual needs right after the curtain. But now there's no AI here. Something must have happened. Something unexpected. The salary says, "Where are you going?" Salary browsing, swallowing saliva, feel extremely nervous. You didn't see them crossing the river. They're definitely not out fishing. Put the food down on the table and start analyzing it. From the epicenter is now completely silent, although there are a few people left. But they only collect 10 food. And don't leave the house. Go to each house to visit. See if people see where your students are. However, the end result does not yield any harvest. The mood of browsing becomes more and more heavy. The feeling of insecurity enveloped her. If they were taken away by that AI. I remember the forces that Zhangji had mentioned earlier, and start thinking about the worst-case scenario. Whether our students, maybe it was taken away by some great power. But at Sao, from anchoring such a barren place, there is no resource worth stealing. She went to the head of the village from home to look carefully again. Like everywhere, there is no shadow. You think they're really caught. I feel a headache when thinking. You can't understand the reason, and the anxiety in my heart is getting heavier and heavier. No matter how much you have 7 hopes for these students, but since the end of the world began, they are the ones who have been with you so far. Knowing that these students don't value you. But you can't stand watching. The students I taught for years died. Browsing around the silent ice. The cold wind is screaming. You feel helpless. I don't know how to find your students. After a moment of thinking, she remembered the smell. Maybe there's only one way to get help. You don't want to cause any trouble to Zhangji. Though he was also very kind when he agreed to help her. Zhang Yi also treated her very well. Maybe in your heart, there is also a special feeling for Zhang. But now, you really don't know how to find the missing students. She ran back to the shelter and thought, it's no coincidence that they disappeared. If there's actually AI that's harming them, the goal is definitely me. Browsing head up, breathing out a white smoke. I told myself I couldn't let them die for me. I hurried back to my hiding place. Her worried expression caught everyone's attention. I was curious to see what was wrong with you. He came running in front of me and said, something's wrong. Something big has happened. My students, they're all gone. Everyone was surprised to hear that. What do you say? Disappear as Sao can be. 10 of them are missing Sao. 6, and he also looked anxious. Are they out looking for ingredients and food? On everyone's face, there's interest, but their eyes don't contain that. In the whole hideout, only the paycheck cares about these people. The others, I have no sympathy for your students. Brows shake head. I looked everywhere I could. It's like not seeing the shadow of an AI. Trong Yi, I suspect. Maybe some power. It's expanded its influence here. Hand in front of the chest, frowning, thinking. It's actually very likely. But I don't understand. Why do they want to arrest your students? Do you have any previous grudges against them? Browsing is also very confusing. I don't know. I've taught at the school for 3 years and never made enemies with AI. I advise you not to rush. Calm down and think of a solution. Look directly at the salary. Let's be honest, we need to clarify one thing first. I didn't cause your student to go missing. If you don't believe, I can show you the surveillance cameras of the hideout. We were in a shelter all day yesterday. Never been out. And we investigate. See if there's any AI around the shelter. See if there's a clue. Check the camera around a bit. Make sure no strangers show up nearby. Already said. I turned on the camera for everyone to see. Very quickly on the big screen in the living room. A lot of pictures. Shaking your head, some things should be clear. People will have no doubt in their hearts. Your student is missing. Everyone in this hideout is under suspicion. Yang Xin nodded and said yes. Even though we don't do that kind of thing. But it's best to keep each other safe. Chin lift program, seriously speaking. This could be a big problem. We don't know who killed him. And what's their purpose? This makes us completely passive. Even though we know there are 4 great organizations in Tianhai City, but it can't be ruled out ability to come from other forces that we don't know. It's almost impossible for us to actively do anything. Who took away your students? It certainly has its own purpose. So I think we should wait. Maybe they'll contact us. Salary approval, fisted hand. But what's it worth for someone else to buy? I don't remember who I was guilty of either. Laugh and say, this problem is really complicated, but obviously, your student was arrested. Maybe it's not just about you. It can also be related to other people. Of course, this is just a theory. I feel my heart warm. Looking up at Zhang Yi's gentle eyes. Brows frowning, restless mood. You want to do something, but I don't know where to start. I don't know who the enemy is. You don't know what they want. You can just sit there awkwardly. Right now, your cold hand, held tightly by Zhang Yi's warm hand. I feel my heart warm. Looking straight into Zhang's eyes. Don't worry about it. Your problem is also seen as my problem. I promise I'll help you take care of those students. And I won't swallow my words. As soon as there is news, we will act immediately. The inside of the circulation becomes warm, but she still feels confused and scared. Can only be trusted, and follow Zhang's arrangement. Smiling in my heart, I am glad. We've finally solved the Kier problem. Not long. My students will die though. It wasn't killed by Yang's men at the base. Because of Trong, poisoning in their food will also work. The important thing is, Browser will not recognize it was he who did this. You can't turn to him from there. Can you tell the translation chapter about the emotional salary? Everybody listen to me. The young man looked at the salary. We've finally solved the Kier problem. After consoling the salary for a while, your mood seems a little better. Then give 6 revelation. And Yang Han Han took his salary to rest. After everyone left, Zhu Kai Ni, with a worried face, closer to the epidemic, lean on him and ask, Zhang Yide is one of the Kier forces. Do you want to attack us? The young man nodded. That's what it is. He never told anyone about killing the Highlands and their group. But he knows that there will eventually be conflict with the major powers. Only when fighting a battle and prove their power can make the forces that are watching Taysun base must be completely silent. This is an inevitable situation. The biliary sighed. The days of peace have not lasted long. Why did we start fighting again? Smiling, you understand wrong. It's not war. It disrupts our peaceful lives. We use war ourselves as a means of exchange for silence. Temporary. In the end world, war and the killing, that's the normal state. Peace is not like that. I just hugged 2 girls, just thinking about how to deal with the coming war. If only 2 forces attack at the same time, we can defend ourselves. But whether the 4 powers are linked together or not. Trong Yi frowned, thinking, if that's true, it might be a bit of a hassle. The army is ready for a battle. In this battle, he was determined to make my name in the city of Thien high. Make every power they dare not mess with me. Only then he could have a long, peaceful life. Even though browsing is worried, but just like every woman, she's still very comforting. Everyone tried to comfort her, and she gradually calmed down. Even though your students can't live long, when they die, the worries in the heart of the browser will vanish, and it's all over. In the next day, they don't eat or drink. Chu Kai Ni asked Trong epidemic. He did not hurt Sao. Laughing, Zhang asked her what she was heartbroken about. Chu Kai Ni, I have no feeling for Sao browsing. Or you've never been moved by her. Laughing softly, I really appreciate her. If you can be a trusted friend, there's nothing better. However, she needs to overcome this challenge first. For Trong Dewey, now love is just the spice of life. They make life more interesting. Like without them, just focus on the basics. Enough to live healthy. Since then, to rise and survive in the post-apocalyptic world. His view of love and love, the more it fades. That afternoon, Trong Yi summoned the View and From Fat. Notify them. Be ready for war at any time. The reason is that the troops of Yang Sheng base has infiltrated the hideout zone. They found out from the trauma, and it's obviously not going to bypass the nearby hide and seek zone. But they didn't move because they weren't ready. The View's reaction was quite calm. Ever since we took down the mutants at the base of the million weapons, we knew that this war was inevitable. From Fat sighing is annoying. Why those names? We can't live peacefully in this post-apocalyptic world. Why do they have to fight for territory? Calmly explain at any time. There are always ambitious people. They want to get higher power. When their survival goal has been achieved, their desires will never stop expanding. Not everyone is like us. There's no need or ambition. More from a safety perspective. only by removing all the threats around. We are really safe. Don't talk about them. Even if we detect a small armed organization, it's all around. We will also deal with them. After that, Zhang Yi turned to cheer. Fat people like you don't have to worry too much. Everything is in my plan. We just need to show them our power. Let them understand that we are not opponents easy to play. They're not going to mess around anymore. There is no deep conflict with the four great powers of the Tianhai city. His strength is enough to make the enemy afraid. The problem will be solved. To actively attack and occupy a base is very difficult. But just defend at the hideout. He's still very confident. The king hugged his arm, laughing loudly, even though Sao just did it. Our days are made up of our fists. If anyone dares to harass us, then we will defeat them. From Fat sighing, put your hand on my cheek until now. We only have one way to fight. They're not the first time they've fought. So there's no big deal. Defending is easier than attacking. If only they had a hiding place. It's a safe line of defense, finally. Right now, outside the hiding place, suddenly transmitted a faint engine sound. 3 people immediately had sharp eyes. Someone was there, the sound of a car. Translation center view, and the word fat immediately rushed to the second floor window. Through one-dimensional crystal glass, he looked away and saw a car driving by. The snow was disguised a few hundred meters from the manor. This feeling is so familiar. It's like a car driving in the snow from a sunken base that he's ever seen. Thought of the people of the Duong Thi base. At Sao, only one car is a scout or messenger. While Zhang Yi thought, he pulled a big gun out of hyperspace. The car goes on the snow, is rapidly moving this way. No intention of stopping. As it neared the royal palace, a steel bow emerges from the glass door of the car. A black arrow shot at the ice wall. After doing this movement, the car that went on the snow quickly left. She smiled coldly and wanted to run. He opened the window, built a big gun towards the wheels of the car going on the snow, with the sound of a bullet hitting a wheel. Or an explosion from over 800 meters away. The snow's wheels were shot. The car on the road, then turned upside down towards the river. With a big gun in his hand, jumped out the window. The snow on the ground is hard. But when the young man fell, with a cloak around the body, same helper power, reduce the impact force, allow the fluid to land as gently as a feather. The longer you use your power, the campaign becomes more proficient. In the back of the room, the rest of the world is quick to follow. The word fat is still confused, because it's happening so fast, too dangerous. Hold the gun in your hand. Running at 200 bananas per hour. Rush towards the falling car in front. Because if you don't take the time, 2 Kier soldiers might get in the car and run away. And young people won't be able to get any information. Upon arrival, the young man saw 2 soldiers wearing combat clothes from the car trying to crawl out. One of them had a broken leg, and the Kier is going to help his teammates leave with him. The name on the outside of the car says out loud, "Hurry up, the Kier are chasing." With great view riding on the back of Hoa Hoa. Quickly jump a few steps to follow the car on the snow. When I saw Zhang Yi and the view approaching, Kier decided to abandon his comrade and run away. Let the teammates who are being crushed by the car scream. The Kier kept running. But he doesn't know that. You can't escape the sky. quickly raised the gun. Head of. The flower now becomes a solid gun. The young man shot him in the calf for an hour. The soldier had a punctured calf. He screamed and fell on the snow. The other soldier tried to draw a gun to protest, but was quickly controlled by Uncle Fu. Makes him unable to move. Keep a close eye on the two soldiers. They found out they were ordinary soldiers. There's no aptitude. Looks like they're not mutants. They're not here on a combat mission. The police did not kill these two. I just caught two sources. Of course, you have to keep it for information. But these two soldiers seemed to be crazy. They knew that they would have no chance of survival. They bite their teeth and their faces quickly turn purple and black. My mouth bled black and died. Frown Suicide Chapter SAO. I'm glad to see this. Open their mouths, draw out their chins and speak to the translation. Poison is hidden in tablets men's teeth. Many scouts use this method. The goal is not to get caught alive and reveal information. Take a long breath. They say they're really smart. Even though the campaign promised to give them a way of life. After collecting 10 useful information. However, in the end, young people will still decide to get rid of them. This group of people clearly not too much illusions about his fate. Sigh and sigh. But if they die that way, we still don't know their true purpose. What is it when you come here? Right now from Fat with tired looks coming from behind. In his hand was a black arrow. Tie a piece of red cloth on it. The old man left something behind. Come quickly and look at this. The nurse saw this. Pupils constrict and immediately shout out the word fat. Stop. Don't touch it. From Fat right Trong Yi shouted so loudly. Immediately feel afraid to stand still. Dare not to move. He looked at the arrow in his hand. I realized something now. Sharp face meter. He just wants to be successful with the translation. Forget that on the arrow can be poisoned. It can even contain mini bombs. In this day and age, life is not worth it. The enemy doesn't care about religion. If they want to kill someone, they will use every trick. Use the word fat carefully. Slowly let go of the bow in your hand. Trong fluid reminds the word fat carefully. Slowly let go of the bow in your hand. From Fat shivering slowly squatting down. Carefully place the arrow on the snow and ice surface. Cho signaled from Fat to stay behind. And then quickly use the power space to draw the arrow in. The dysfunctional space of youth. It can be divided into separate areas. Although the crossbow arrow contains a bomb, he's also able to detonate bombs from the inside. In a special space that opens up a red cloth. They did not detect the bomb. I saw a letter written by hand. The campaign dare not be subjective. He looked up from Fat and said, this is war. Or they want to negotiate with us. Then Zhang Yi closed the space. Thick glove dress. Against poison, even if there is a strong poison on the crossbow, Young reminds from Fat. Take off your gloves for another pair. I don't care about the cold. Take off your gloves and throw them away. From Fat feeling angry that exclaimed fuck. Then Zhang's fluid leads from Fat and excess muscle. Back to the hiding place. First, he called the doctor. Asked her to check the arrow and the cloth. Take the translation seriously. See if there's any poison on it. When I saw Zhu Hai, I was so careful. I can't help but ask. If they're just bringing in people at SAO, they're using this trick. Calm reply campaign preparation is best. It's when we're careless. The enemy can easily attack. The king agreed and nodded in agreement. On the battlefield, every act of contempt, they can all be life-threatening. We've paid a lot of money for this. Chu Kai Ni blinked. I understand, but still feel. Zhang and everyone are too careful. In the face of a small arrow. She still wears gloves and checks carefully. Bow and arrow and red cloth professionally. Results after the test. Zhu Kai Ni, no color change on the arrow. Her expression also changed quickly. Who says it is poisonous? From fat to panicked to pale face. Just thinking back on how I wasn't careful. If you are not lucky enough to wear gloves. Maybe. Life has been thrown away. Can't help but say. His feet now felt as if he remembered Ra. The translation was quite calm. We must never be indifferent to the enemy. They're always trying to take our lives. And the reason we figured this out is because if we were them, we'll use the same trick. Though SAO, to eliminate an enemy is to make the enemy less. Zhu Kai Ni took a glass cage. Cover up the arrow and the red cloth. Then she saw the words on the cloth. It says here, do you want to come and see it? The epidemic is approaching and actually see strange markings on the fabric. The curious young man asked what this was. They thought it was a message of war. Or something like that. But it turns out to be a special kind of character. Everyone at the scene didn't realize it. The plague has no other way. In addition to calling Yang Han Han a computer expert. The youth also invited the salary approver to come together to review. The fate of those students has been decided. They must surely die. If the campaign hides something from the browser, that makes you even more suspicious. When you hear that the Yangtze base is sending something. Salary is very interested. Hurry up with Yang Xin Han and 6 Revelation to the medical room. Yang Xiangxin immediately recognized that string of characters when I first saw. This is an address. If I'm not mistaken, we can contact the Yangtze base through this address. Zhang Yi asked in a safe manner. Yang Han Han smiled confidently. The great CA has me here. What do you think will be dangerous? Laughing and nodding, that is good. I know that pride is the best. My face is a little red. The smile is more radiant. Rousing deep breathing. Ask urgently. So now, we can determine that our students were taken away from the Yangtze base. Right? Translate reply. If there's no surprise, it's definitely them. There are not so many coincidences in this world. Save it and say, contact them right away and see what they want. He said nothing, just hugged his arm and thought. There are only 2 possibilities when people actively send communications. The first possibility is they want to use their cards to negotiate with them. Aim for the greatest benefit. Like that, the killing of Highlanders and others will also be resolved. Moreover, they have in the hands of the students of the salary approval, may also want to explore and assess their value. Use this in exchange for something. Monday. The goal is to look at yourself through conversation. Understand how much power is in your hands. After thinking, the campaign decided that you can have a conversation with Yang. If the enemy wants, through the conversation, to consider yourself, why don't we probe their attitudes? You have to pretend in front of the paycheck. Let her believe that I'm trying to help Korn. Into her dance and group. After thinking, raise your head and speak. We'll talk to them. Shuang Yi thought silently. We've got to keep some of their intelligence. New one. On the face of radiant approval, he believed there was hope to rescue his students. However, Zhang Yi seriously told her, there is one thing about salary. I need to be clear with you right now. I understand you're worried about your students. They're not a kid's joke either. It's very dangerous. If we expose any loopholes, they will not hesitate to attack us. So you can be there watching. Like not being too concerned about your students. Or they'll definitely take advantage of that, you know? Bowed his head. Think for a moment and firmly nod. I agree with you.